Alrighty, people. How you darn? How you darn? It's a Sunday night over there where y'all are. For me, it's a Monday morning. And sorry I'm a little bit late to the stream. We have to move and talking to potentially, you know, new landlords and different places we're applying for to rent. It's, y'all know, it's chaos, but we're here and we're ready. We're ready for a good stream. I'm going to get through 2 of our supporters' Dynasty teams on today's stream. So I'm glad you're with me. We're going to talk about some moves that they could potentially make, give them some direction, and maybe an honest review of where they are in the landscape of their leagues as well. But we're going to do it, and we're going to do it together. We're going to have a great time. Joe is in here. Let me know who was hanging out in the chat, and do me a favor and smash that like button as the stream is starting. Joe says, what's up, boys? Love watching your content. Spot on as always. Thank you for taking the time to school us Dynasty folks. Truly appreciate it. Hey, I mean, I appreciate the love, but not spot on always. All right, we definitely make our fair share of mistakes. What is up, George? Here for the daily dose of hopium to fuel my Dynasty addiction. Joe, we might do a Q&A at the end of the stream. What's up, Beth? Chief says, thank goodness I was watching a bad stream rather than this for sure. I mean, I appreciate you coming. But thanks for joining us, guys. Appreciate you. Hopefully you're having a fantastic end to your weekend where most of you guys are, and you're ready to start your week off strong. That's what I'm doing, obviously, like I mentioned. It is Monday morning over here. So we're going to look at some Dynasty teams today, and I'm excited to get into it. Now, what I will say is I accidentally deleted someone's team when I was going through and checking off teams that we had already reviewed. And that is Whaler's team. Did he put his team in here? Yes. So we are going to start with Whaler today. Like I said, accidentally deleted his team. I know he's far down here, but he was technically next up. And yeah, just accidentally deleted it. So we'll make sure and get to his team first. But like I mentioned, do me a favor, hit that like button to show some love. And we're going to get into it here in a second. But if you want your team reviewed by yours truly, very simple. All you need to do is become a Mother Flocker member with the promo code LAND on the Flock Fantasy website. Once you become a Mother Flocker member with our promo code LAND, link your Discord in the top right. Then you should be able to access all of the premium Discord channels we offer under the Fantasyland tab in our combined Discord with the whole gang. So check that out for sure if you want to get a team reviewed by yours truly. All right, first team we're looking at today is from Whaler213. So let's have a little geese at this squad here. He says 12 team, start 10, half PPR tight end premium league is heading into year 2. I bet it all on Rodgers and Geno as my quarterback too, who I traded during last season. So when he and Chubb got hurt, I went into tank mode and got the 102. Plenty of assets, all things considered. Really want to go Marvin at the 102, but obviously need to figure out the quarterback situation. Looking for our advice on how to balance out this team. So let's make sure we have a look at the squad. So we thought we were competing last year, and it happens from time to time. Things don't go exactly as we would have hoped. Injuries occur. But the good news is you had your own first-round pick, right? We talk about this a lot on these streams. Controlling your destiny, controlling the future of your Dynasty team is a very underrated, under-discussed part of Dynasty football. Yeah, you want to win. Yeah, you want to use your picks wisely. But in this scenario, this person thought they were going to compete. Injuries occurred. They still had their pick, and now they're benefiting from having their pick. Let's see what team name we have here. No team name. I'd be curious if Whaler's in the chat with us, because we're kind of going to have to guess unless he's got Chubb still. Let me message him real quick here. And see if he's with us. Oh, Whaler's here? Awesome. He's in the chat. Great. What is the team name, my friend? You still have Chubb? That's great. I can definitely look for him. Oh, is that must be you here? Dirty Sanchez? I'm guessing that's you there. Still has Aaron Rodgers. Okay. So, at the moment, Keep Trade Cut has you ranked 3rd in your league. Keeping in mind it's a 12-man SuperFlex Start 10 tight end premium. You are ranked 79 out of 100. There's another team ranked 79. And Team 1 is absolutely stacked. But let's have a look at the squad here. Aaron Rodgers is our quarterback 1 at the moment, as things stand. He's currently our quarterback 1. We have draft capital, so we'll definitely need to address that. Outside of him, there's not a starting asset, and you know that. And honestly, in a Superflex league, only having Aaron Rodgers in general, not a great idea. I mean, at this point of his career, you want him to be like your 3rd quarterback rather than your 1st. But the good news is at the running back spot, you've got most people's consensus top 3 running backs, 2 of those 3, and Jahmyr Gibbs and Breece Hall. And you've got pretty good depth at that spot. I mean, Nick Chubb, he could be the starter if he recovers from that injury. Jalen Warren broke out last year. Could his role grow even more under Arthur Smith? We'll have to wait and see. Chase Brown, a guy that we have told you guys to buy for 3rd-round picks. There's talks about Joe Mixon potentially being a cap casualty. We'll see. Not sure if that's going to happen or not, but we'll see. At the wide receiver spot, another I wouldn't say like a strength per se, but you've got CeeDee Lamb and Nico Collins. That's a great 1-2 punch. But clearly your depth is quite weak. But you've also got not much to work with at tight end in a tight end premium format. So while there are areas of strengths, which is Breece Hall, Jahmyr Gibbs, and CD and Nico, there's also some very clear weaknesses. Your quarterbacks, your tight ends, and a tight end premium format. Waller says traded Geno late in the season for Jalen Warren once the season was tanked. Yeah. We'll have to wait and see what Seattle's going to do with Geno. You know, new coaching staff didn't have the same year last year as the comeback year, but yeah, Warren's about even value there, I'd say. I don't think you'd be getting more than that at this point. But we have the 102, we have the 109, the 202, the 212, and then a couple 4th-round picks. You guys also go into the 5th round, it looks like. So we have 2 first-round picks. One's at the 102, one's at the 109. Now, my first question to Whaler in the chat is, do you believe that the 101 is going Caleb Williams? Do you believe, based off conversations, that's the case? Let's try and find the guy who has pick 101 in your league here. Okay, so this guy has Lamar Jackson, Daniel Jones, but he's also got Jason, Shaheed, Cook, so he's got some very big needs. Yeah, hard to say, hey. In my ideal world, look, I would love to add Marv, obviously. I'd say you're in a good spot because you could afford to add a Marv or a Caleb. My preference for this team would obviously be to add a Caleb Williams. In fact, I think at the 109 and the 102, quarterback and wide receiver are in play for both of those picks. 109, 102. You know, we've talked about, let's say you do get Caleb at the 102. Well, at the 109, if JJ goes in the 1st round, if Bo Nix goes in the 1st round, these are names that people just hate on. It's common. It's popular to hate on these names right now. But if they go in the 1st round, then you're absolutely in play to take 2 quarterbacks with those first 2 picks. Now, obviously, if they go into the 2nd round, then that 109 you're going to want to use with best player available. And in a tight end premium format, there is very little chance that Brock Bowers is going to be available at the 109. So this doesn't feel like a Brock Bowers team. We would love to add Brock, but it doesn't feel like that's doable given where your draft picks are. Now, at the 202, I do think Jatavion Sanders is in play there. How big is a premium? It's a half point premium. I think Sanders is in play. I'm not going to say that you have to force it because there could be some very big values at the wide receiver spot at the 202, and you clearly need to add to that depth. So let's say at the 102 you go Caleb, and the 109 you also go JJ or Bo or whatever. At the 202 you wouldn't have had drafted a wide receiver yet, but we know that there will be good wide receivers available because of how deep this class is. You know, we keep saying it, but there's probably 20 to 25 wide receivers I genuinely like in this class. It's very rare to say that. But at that point, you could be looking at like a Keon Coleman. You could be looking at a Adonai Mitchell, Xavier Worthy, Ladd McConkey. I'm a big Jalen McMillan guy. We'll see where he goes. Roman Wilson could be in play there. So that's definitely an option as well. But you do have flexibility with your picks. You absolutely do. And we've been pulling out the whiteboard for people. So why don't we go ahead and do that for you as well? Let's pull out the whiteboard here. And let's talk about these scenarios. So you currently do not have the 101, but you do have the 102. And then you also have the 109. Right? So this is scenario 1. And we'll talk about scenario 2, because ultimately you do not control the draft. However, even though I prefer a Caleb Williams in your scenario, that doesn't mean I'm going to overpay to make it happen, right? So scenario 1, let's call this best case scenario. He goes Marvin, Harrison Jr., and then you can take Caleb Williams. That's a huge need for your team. All right, that's scenario 1. And I don't know why I accidentally did that. There we go. And at the 109, you know, the following names are really going to be in play for you. Now, of course, keep in mind we're assuming here when we say this that one of these quarterbacks goes in the first round. But your McCarthy's, your Knicks's, who is the quarterback that goes in the first round, or wide receiver. And at pick 9, you could have, because we know for sure Brock Bowers is going higher in this format with it being tight and premium, but you've got your Brian Thomas Jr.'s of the world. You've got your Troy Franklin's of the world. You've got your Ladd McConkey's. That's kind of what we're looking at with those first 2 picks. And then we also have the 202, and ideally at the 202, we go wide receiver. So is that McConkey, like we talked about? Is that a Roman Wilson? Is that a Worthy or a Mitchell? And I will say your needs are clearly quarterback, wide receiver depth, and tight end. At least this class is strong at quarterback and wide receiver. It's got some good tight ends, but I'm not going to say it has the depth of previous classes. And then at the 212, again, we can just go best player available at the 212. Around pick 24, is that a Coleman? Is that a Polk? Is that a McMillan? Is that a Burton or a Leggett? Because we don't really need to force a running back with this team. This team is already pretty stacked. That's scenario 1. That's probably best case scenario. Scenario 2, which wouldn't be awful, but of course is a possibility, is you get Marvin Harrison Jr. here. And then for me, nothing changes. Nothing changes. Right? If McCarthy and Knicks are still there and they're first round picks, that's fine. If they're not first round picks, okay, we keep adding to the wide receiver room. Thomas, Franklin, McConkey. What I will say is this team is also in a position where I would not mind using the 109 for a quarterback as well. So let's see keep trade cuts value right now. And this isn't going to be a perfect science at this point, right? But I would be super interested to see right now if you use that pick to go out and get a quarterback. What quarterback could you potentially do that with? Oh, they just added the players, right? So they don't have the picks in there. Let's see what their calculator says. Because to me, let me look at my rankings. Like I think Kyler Murray's unrealistic there. Probably same for Trevor Lawrence, but and look, Dak Prescott's probably unrealistic as well. Yeah, so you'd probably have to do. You'd probably have to start shopping around like Jared Goff's of the worlds. I would say even and like look, not every league is going to be down for this, but Justin Fields, some leagues do not value him, some overvalue him. I have seen him go for the 109. I've also seen people say there's no way he's cheap like that. There's no way he's only worth the 109, right? So every league's a little bit different. But you could also try for a Tua. Those are kind of those three names that are in that sweet spot. I don't think you can get Purdy anymore, but of course throw him in there. Throw him in there as well. I see a super chat from Scribbles. Man, I'll get that. I'll get to that right after I look at my guy Waller's team here. I'll make sure and not forget that. I promise you, Scribbles. But let's see what Whaler is saying. He said, "I'd be stoked to get Franklin." He says, "Is May in play in your opinion? Should I try and swap with the 103 and extract value?" I would love that. The Kyler owner says he is expendable. He has Stroud in the 103. Well, yeah, I mean, look, if the Kyler owner says that he's available, then I would 100% be interested in approaching him. Obviously, it's going to depend on the price. Because I haven't seen, at least personally, I have not seen Kyler go anywhere around the 109. So what could you get for Kyler? I mean, that's really the question. Could Kyler be 109 plus something, or do you have to start around the 102? Because if that's the case, you just keep the 102. But can you get Kyler for the 109 and the 202? Does that at least like open the door to see what sort of negotiations there are? That's 100% worth exploring. Because if you do that, taking Marv at the 102, it's going to hurt less because you have Kyler, you have Rodgers. Now, obviously, you want to build around that quarterback room still. You want to add a third name there, ideally, but working within the constraints of what we currently have, that's not a bad route either. Not at all. But one thing that is 100% possible for you, and I would almost say suggested, let's play out scenario 3. Okay, scenario 3 is where you trade back. All right. So in scenario 3, trade back from the 102 to the 103 to the 105, right? This is a scenario that's in play for sure with your team. But that doesn't need to be bold. But no longer we have the 102. And let's assume that's Marvin. Do you go to the 103? Okay. Then we can take May or Daniels. Do you trade back to the 104? That's fine too. That's just as good for me. Whatever gets you more value. I'm not going to say like I wouldn't suggest trading back to the 105, but if you know a team's going to take Neighbors, and it's not because they don't like Neighbors, it's because your team really needs quarterback help, then again, May or Daniels here. But if you know it's going to be Neighbors, again, not that I don't like Neighbors, I just feel like that doesn't suit your team as much, in my personal opinion, with your current needs. And then, of course, like we mentioned, all the picks from the 109 to the 202 to your thirds, fourths, fifths, they're all the same. Quarterback, wide receiver, maybe a tight end. Like, you'd be a team that would be eligible for like a Jaheim Bell if he goes in the third round, for example. or a Ben Sinnott if he goes in the 3rd round, like one of these tight ends that are a little bit under the radar at the moment. So that's how I would play it. Now, we talked about maybe trading back from the 102. Have you heard any noise of people wanting to trade up? And who has those picks? What sort of moves could we make with those teams? So this team has the 104, Uganda Knuckles. And at the moment, he's got A-Rich, Brock Purdy. Doesn't have a lot of running back strength. Decent wide receivers. He's in a decent spot. But, you know, like, could we go from the 102 to the 104 and in return have the 110? Right? Could we do something like that? Could we do a deal where we go 102, 104, and then maybe we throw in our 212 and we ask for his 110? You know, see, it's saying that you could even get more here according to Keep Trade Cuts calculator, but that's kind of a starting point. What else does he have? He has a 204. So what if we just remove the 212? All right. I mean, if you can get that deal done, I think that is great. It perfectly suits the needs of your current team. So you're going to move back to the 104. You don't have to make the tough decision, but your reward for moving back to the 104 is not only do you get a quarterback, that's going to be Mayor Daniels, but you also at the 110 get to add another wide receiver. Right? At the 109, you go Brian Thomas Jr. if he's there. At the 110, you add McConkey, you add Franklin. And that gives you flexibility as well at the 202. Okay, so JJ didn't go in the 1st round, but he went to the Raiders in the 2nd round. Okay, now we can actually start to add JJ here. Right? JJ or Knicks here if they went in the 2nd round, for example. So I like that move there. I like the trade back to the 104. Because again, the decision is made for you. You're still adding a clear area of need, and you're adding a late 1st round pick, which is very, very valuable in this class, in my personal opinion. And like I said, you guys, if you've been on the channel for a while, you'll know this. For me, if I'm inside that top 5, I'm good. I don't have to be at the 102. You know, for me, like, if you're a Marvin Harrison Jr. guy, I would happily trade back from the 102 to the 105, take Neighbors and get a future 1st from you and get a future 2nd from you, whatever it costs, right? Just adding value from those picks. So I think that's your best route moving forward. We also said we'd be comfortable moving back to the 103. Who has the 103? Is that the number 1 team? That is the number 1 team. So that's weird that he's making Murray available. I bet you he's going to take a quarterback at the 103 then. I wonder if we could wiggle our way into Kyler here. 103. So you're gonna get the 103. You're gonna give him the 102. This is a one pick trade back. And how can we get Kyler in this deal? How can we get Kyler? Let's try and wiggle our way into this. Kyler, and would the 109 get us somewhere close? You're absolutely joking me that Keep Trade Cut is telling us this is a good trade. I mean, look, some leagues, their Bible is Keep Trade Cut. Am I misunderstanding this somehow? I mean, I'm accurately putting this in, right? This sounds crazy to me that this is even considered. Try that trade, dude. I'm not missing anything, am I? This is bonkers to me. Yes. So you're telling me I move back 1 spot and I get Kyler Murray and send off the 109? 100% I'm comfortable with that. You know what? Do I need to add my 212? Take it. It's a valuable class, but I would absolutely add to get that deal done. But that's another starting point for you. Not only do you address quarterback, guess what? You can take another quarterback. So all of a sudden, our team has Not Aaron Rodgers as our quarterback 1. But we've got Kyler Murray as our quarterback 1, and now May and Daniels and Aaron Rodgers as our quarterback 3. All is right in the world again. Now, we don't have our 109, but we can hit wide receiver at the 202. If you keep the 212, we can hit wide receiver there. But we're building the right way. We're building around what really matters for our teams. I think this team is definitely a team I would hold Calvin Ridley onto. Let's see what happens in free agency. How many starters is it? It's start 10. So let's say we did play it out that way. We'd have Kyler Murray, Daniels or May. We'd have Gibbs, Hall. We'd have Lamb, Collins, Ridley. I guess dude, tight end is rough here. I guess you'd start Likely. That's rough. And then we'd have to flex 2, which would probably be Warren and Chubb or Warren and Brown. So we're not necessarily like a stacked team just yet, but we have our first round pick next year, which is great. Don't get rid of that. Our 25-second. Yeah, I like some of these moves, man. We've talked through a lot of options here. Whaler, I want to hear your thoughts. I want to hear if you have any questions, any opinions here. But clearly, like we mentioned, we want to add to the quarterback room. We want to add wide receiver depth. And getting a tight end, like, let's open that door up a little bit. Like, the 212 could be a trade piece. What tight end could we get for the 212? I've talked about Michael Mayer before. I think he's going to cost more than this in a tight end premium. He's actually costing significantly more than that in a tight end premium. But let's see what teams have an excess of tight end, maybe. Kraft. Kraft is sneaky, but I don't mind Schultz. It's just we have no idea where he's about to play next year. I kind of like a Komet buy for this team, actually. I wonder what Cole Komet would cost. Well, to be fair, look, Team 2 has Trey McBride. They have TJ Hawkinson. How expendable is Michael Mayer to them? Are they, rookie pick crazy? Would they start a conversation around the 212? That would be great. But I love a Cole Komet buy for this team, too. Cole Komet's definitely in play for me. Again, around that 212. Also, Evan Ingram. Who has Evan Ingram? I feel like he is so cheap right now. Who's got Evan in this league? Kelsey. Where the hell is Evan Ingram? Goddard's not a... Goddard's a cheap buy. Oh, okay. This guy needs Evan, so that's not going to work. This guy needs Goddard, so that's not going to work. I kind of like a Daniel Bellinger buy too for this team. It's, you don't send anything but, a fourth or fifth round pick if you have it. But I like that as a sneaky buy. Also Brevin Jordan as like a fourth rounder, fifth round buy as well. So yeah, you can make some moves. I don't think you're going to make a splash at tight end though. I think you need to kind of dig deep there. Whaler says, my only other consideration is down tiering or just trading Gibbs for a top 5 pick. The 104 is bad at RB, remember? Yeah, you know what? That's not a bad idea either. I think this team could afford to shift its assets in different ways. Now, look, guys, we always say context is so important with team construction. This is a start 10. If we were looking at a start 8, we'd probably say, just keep your running backs. There's no need to kind of tear down from a Gibbs, right? But when we look at your running back room, let's be honest for a second. Gibbs and Hall, they're really the only names that you're going to get worthwhile value. No one's Jalen Warren, you can at most get maybe a second round value. How much is that going to impact your team? Very few people are interested in trading for Nick Chubb after his injury. And Chase Brown is someone you want to hold on to, in my opinion, because we don't know what's happening with Joe Mixon's future. So in a start 10, I get it. We don't, guys, no one doesn't want to have Gibbs, right? But in this format where we want our depth to be a little bit stronger, I don't mind a tier down. You talked about, man, do we really want to give Team 1 Jahmyr Gibbs, though? I like the Kyler move better, personally. Because otherwise, we're giving this kid the keys to the kingdom for a long time. I mean, you make that move, you might as well pack it in for the next 4 years. So, look, I'm not in love with giving Gibbs to Team 1. You talked about a guy who has a 104. Yeah, so this team needs help for sure. I mean, I like a wild card here. Like, Gibbs for the 104 plus Christian Watson. Right? Kind of taking a shot. Or, you know what we could do? The 104 plus Luke Musgrave. In a tight end premium. Let's see what happens. I doubt he'd give you Najee Harris because he's so weak there. And I doubt you can really do the 104 plus Brock Purdy. That's not very realistic. So, yeah, Gibbs is very movable in this league. Again, considering context, I have no problems tearing down. Obviously, like I said, everyone wants to keep Jahmyr Gibbs, right? That's a no-brainer. But with the amount of starters you have in this league, I can definitely see how tearing down will make a lot of sense for you, Whaler. Matty Lowe says, I like the idea of getting Kyler and a quarterback at the 103. I like that idea too. I'd move Chubb before down tiering to Gibbs. I mean, me too, man. Tell me who wants Nick Chubb in your leagues, though. Right? JB says you can't move Gibbs. I think in this league, you absolutely can tier down from him. Building your Dynasty team, but that's just my opinion. But Whaler, let me know if you have any other questions, man. We walked through a lot of scenarios there. And keep in mind, this stream is not going down. You can rewatch this at any point. Right? Save it, bookmark it, whatever you want to do. And then come back and watch the stream whenever you want to. But we talked through a lot of different scenarios. We talked through a lot of trade backs from the 102. We talked about how we could trade the 109 for quarterback or tearing down for quarterback. We talked about how we could use potentially Jahmyr Gibbs. Because you take away Gibbs from this team, obviously you're adding a very important asset at the 104. You're not moving Jahmyr Gibbs for anything, right? But then you have Breece Hall, Warren, Chubb, Brown. You have one name that you still love, and you have 3 names that you can start, right? This team that has no tight end in a tight end premium format, this team where you can start 5 wide receivers, has 2 we really like, 1 quarterback we like, you absolutely can wiggle around here. He says, thanks, man. Appreciate all the advice. Definitely plenty to think about. That's great to hear. Definitely feel free to hit us up in the fantasy hotline. If you have offers that come through, you know, we're always over there. And doing our best to help you all out in that fantasy hotline as well. Hey, do me a favor, guys, and hit that like button on today's stream. Over 50 of you guys watching. Hey, why can't we hit 50 together, right? We're already halfway there. If everyone were to take a second and just hit that like button, we could find our way to 50 likes on today's stream, which would be absolutely awesome. All right, the next team that we are going to be reviewing is Aaron's team, which is awesome. It's great to have Aaron back and supporting. It's good to have you, my man. Thank you for the support. Thank you for the love. And let's go ahead and have a look at the squad you're rocking with. And Aaron, let me know if you're in the chat, because y'all know we love having conversations with you while we look at your teams and give you some advice, some feedback, and back and forth. We love it. But if anyone out there is watching this and you want your team reviewed, very, very simple. All you need to do is become a Mother Flocker member with the promo code LAND. Once you have signed up with our code LAND to the Mother Flocker tier, in the top right, hit account, link your Discord, and then you should get access to all of our premium Discord channels. Of course, keep in mind, if you do opt for the 7-day free trial, you have to wait for that free trial to end in order to be eligible for a team review. But there is an instant access button if you prefer to get instant access to that review. And NK1 says, do it, everyone. The Discord and calculator is super helpful, which is awesome to hear. Awesome to hear. But let's get to Aaron's team. So we've got a 12-man SuperFlex start 9, no tight end premium. Let me drink some water, y'all. Give me a sec. And the team name is ArronSwarm. He says, great to be back with y'all. Here's my dilemma. This is a new league going into its first offseason. I have the 101 and the 104. I traded Swift for a 24 first during week 2. And that turned into the 104. My quarterback room is filled with Herbert, Young, and Levis. I want to know, can I take Marvin at the 101, pass on Caleb, and hopefully get Jaden Daniels at the 104? Daniels is my favorite quarterback in this draft with his rushing upside. I'm struggling with who to take at the 101. You can make an argument that Marvin can be the pick because of me having the 104. Caleb is growing on me as I see film, but Williams has one red flag. It's his mentality. And if he can handle the NFL level, I feel Marvin is clearly the best player in this draft and is level-headed. I know I'm a year away from contending in this league. I want to know some opinions on how I should go about my 3 second rounders this year as well. Added some pictures of trades I made this year. All right. So let's have a look at some of the deals you made. So you got Chuba Hubbard in a second, send away Hunt in a third. That was September 20th. I guess I'm shocked that even then, I'm trying to think then, because Kareem Hunt wasn't on the Browns yet until the Chubb injury, and even Ford was a starter for a while. I mean, that's shocking. Great value. Another deal where you got Jaden Reed a second and a third for Najee. I like it. Looks like that one was in November. So that would have been, probably people were like, Reed is good, but Watson's injured. And then you got Gibson for Tillman in a third. I don't hate that deal. I'm not obsessed with it, but I do like the idea of betting on Gibson heading into free agency. So there's a little risk reward there. But let's have a look at the team. Like we said, the team name is ArronSwarm. And you are currently ranked first amongst 12. Again, a 12-team SuperFlex Start 9 league. And let's have a look at the squad. We've got Herbert, Young, and Levis. So a pretty good quarterback room, all things considered. Now, obviously, Young and Levis haven't really proven anything at this point in their careers. A lot of people are labeling Bryce Young a bust at this point, even though he's had literally no help around him. But I like this room. I like this quarterback room. Clearly, you don't have a quarterback 2 you can trust yet, but you have upside. You have unknowns. At running back, Charbonnet, Brown, Hubbard, Gibson, Dowdle. So I kind of get the Gibson buy there. Just wanting to take kind of as many lotto tickets. You know, you got a couple $5 scratchers here. We're just scratching them off and seeing what's gonna pop out the other side. A wide receiver, Wilson, Dell, Flowers, Reed. It's a pretty good wide receiver room. Let's hope Zay Flowers' situation doesn't go south. Because that's obviously a bit of a sticky situation right now. And we got Jake Ferguson, Dulcich, and Johnson. And it is non-tight end premium. So I feel like Jake is a fine starter for now. But like you mentioned, you have the 101 and the 104. So my question is, who has the 102? So this team has the 102. And I bet you they're praying that you take Caleb. They're probably hoping and praying on it because they could definitely use a guy like Marvin Harrison Jr. But let's think this through. All right, let's head to the whiteboard. And let's think this through. So, scenario 1. We have the 101. We have the 104. What else did we have? We have all these picks as well. The 204, 206, and 208. 204, 206, 208. So let's think this through. This is scenario one. I don't think those second round picks are going to change much, but we'll talk about our options. So option one, we go Marvin Harrison Jr. And then we let whatever quarterback fall to us, right? That is May. There is so much, guys. The Drake May slander out there right now, it's comical. It really is comical. It feels like no one learned from CJ Stroud, but here we are. But May is absolutely in play there, as well as Daniels. What likely happens at the 102 is we see Caleb Williams and then one of these quarterbacks. So this is ideal because you can add to your quarterback room while also adding Marvin Harrison Jr. There's absolutely no reason why a team in your situation could not do that. There is zero reason as to why you wouldn't be able to do that. So I like that. I like those two moves. Now at the 204 and the 206, of course, we always talk about this go best player available, but this is absolutely a team that is in the range of a running back, right? So your Jonathan Brooks, your Trey Bensons are all in play here. And then we also have to consider wide receivers that will be available around the 204. You know, your Burtons, your McMillans. I don't think McConkey's realistic there anymore. We have seen Mitchell go here at times. I guess we could put Keon Coleman. I'm not going to be a big hater. And I think that's the same exact thing we want to acquire here at all three of those picks. Right? Down the board, we want to hit on these players. Hey, if we end up with one running back and two wide receivers with these picks, that's great. That's great. That's absolutely, if it's a best player available, make the move. At the 208, you know, other options, Brooks and Benson, if they're there, great. They're probably not, but you could also consider a Bucky. You could consider a Lloyd there. You know, some people love Braylon Allen, you know, depending on where he goes. I would even say Jalen Wright's in play. So we are 100% in play with running backs with these picks because I think that's kind of the sweet spot. You know, that's kind of the sweet spot there when it comes to the running backs in this class. And I'll just say this. I'm not suggesting that you have to sell Charbonnet. But, man, I'd be super open to it. I really would. I'm sorry, guys, but I just... when are these guys free from each other in Seattle? I know we've got new offensive coordinator coming in. Things could change, but is Zach Charbonnet ever going to overtake a healthy Kenneth Walker? Probably not. It's probably not going to happen. So for me, I'm super open to getting some sort of value in return. I mean, what sort of... He's RB23 right now. Dang. I mean, if you can get anywhere around the 205, the 203... I mean, personally, I like this move. I know you need running back, but like I said, I'm not really sold. Somewhere around there. That's the kind of value you're looking for Charbonnet. And the good news is you can take a shot, you know, go back into the running back rookie, you know, kind of scratcher, lotto ticket, if you will. Get a Brooks, a Benson, a Bucky. Hey, maybe you add another pick and you can start to take a couple guys that you like. You know, if Bucky Irvin falls to the 4th round, but he goes to the Vikings, well, how far will he fall? Well, now you've got more picks. You can kind of, you know, take a shot on players that you really like. So, yeah, that's how I would play it. In fact, I don't really feel like there is a... Well, look, we'll play scenario 2 because I think there's a second scenario here, which is at the 101, you go Caleb Williams. And then you can go Malik Neighbors here. Now, the issue is, are we sure that Neighbors is going to be available at the 104? Do we even know if he's going to be available? Whereas with the strengths of this class, how good quarterbacks are, we feel very confident that a Mayer or Daniels is going to be available at the 104 if you go Marvin at the 101. So like I said, I feel like this is your best route moving forward. But let's play this scenario out. Let's now look at your team. It's a start 9. And it looks like you have 2 flexes. 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, 2 flex. So kind of standard. But let's play out scenario 1 here. In scenario 1, your starting lineup would have Justin Herbert, Jaden Daniels, for example. At running back, throw in a name that's a starter here. I mean, who the hell starts from these names? I like that you have a bunch of lotto tickets, though. And then, do we get a Brooks? Do we get a Benson? Do we get a Bucky, a Lloyd, a Braylon, a Jalen Wright? Fine. Just put together a running back room there. But we've got Marvin. We've got Garrett Wilson. And then we can flex Tank Dell and Zay Flowers. And Jaden Reed is also a flexible option there. And then at tight end, we have Jake Ferguson. So for me, I think scenario 1 is the best route for you. And it's the route that I would personally take. And look, it seems to be a common trend so far with our team reviews. But outside of Zach Charbonnet, there's no real player that I would view as like an obvious sell high. Or a sell. You know, Charbonnet's not really high. But all these wide receivers I'd like to build around. No, I don't mind upgrading from Jake Ferguson if you can like package one of these seconds and go get like an elite guy. But you also don't need to make that move. Keeping in mind, your league is quite evenly spread out as well, so it's not like you're absolutely dominating from other people. But yeah, I like the move to keep Marvin at the 101. Get the best quarterback at the 104. And then at the 204, 208, 206, best player available. Your Brooks, your Bensons, your Buckies, your Lloyds, your Braylons, your Jalen Wrights, your McMillans, your Mitchells, your Keon Colemans, your Jermaine Burtons. Tez Walker, maybe, if he gets a draft capital to get. You know, you could consider there. For me, your Roman Wilsons, Javon Bakers, Slick Ricky Pearsall. All those names are in play. Throw Malik Washington in there, right? But keeping in mind it's a start 9, you know, let's say with these picks, you're choosing between a Trey Benson who went round 3 and a Keon Coleman who went early 2nd round, right? Let's say Keon Coleman goes to the Panthers with pick 33. So he just missed out from being a early or a late 1st round pick. You've got Trey Benson, who's a 3rd round pick, doesn't have the same draft capital. I don't care. Because it's a start 9, let's go out and get, you know, a Trey Benson and see what happens with him. You know, you might lean those running backs. Now, of course, there is a asterisk there as well, because, you know, if these running backs are 5th round picks, of course you're not passing on a 2nd round wide receiver in the NFL draft. But yeah, I mean, I think you're going to build out a really nice team with the picks that you have. I love the pivot off of DeAndre Swift mid-season. Because right now you probably can't get a 1st round pick for Swift, if we're honest. In sharp leagues, at least, you definitely can't. But yeah, I like the team. Like we said, ideally, we add a Daniels to a room that already has Herbert, Young, and Levis. We add Brooks, Benson, Bucky, Braylon, Jalen Wright. Some of these names to your running back room. We've got Marvin adding on to this room that's already stacked. And then we're pretty fine at tight end. But like I said, if you want to package one of these picks to go out and get an elite tight end, I don't mind that either. That's definitely a move that you can make, but I think Jake Ferguson's a fine starter for your team at this moment. Let's say you're, you know, midway through the season and you're dominating, but you're not getting enough production from your tight end spot. Well, we can make a move then. You know, we can make a move then and address the position, but it's not tight end premium. I think you're fine. I think you're absolutely fine. So yeah, that's the move that I would make. And again, there's no obvious sell highs outside of Charbonnet for me. And like I said, not really a sell high. That's probably the move I would make. But hey, if anyone out there wants their team reviewed, very simple. All you need to do is become a Motherflocker member using the promo code LAND. Once you have done so, go to your account, link your Discord in the top right. And once you've done that, you should get access to all of our premium Discord channels. Now, if you do opt for the 7-day free trial, no problem, right? That's completely fine, but you have to wait for that 7-day trial to end to get your Dynasty team reviewed. But that's all the teams are going to do today. I know last Thursday night we went through like 5 teams, but today I'm only planned on doing 2 just because I got to plan out the week's worth of content. Badaki's not with us. He's still on paternity leave. I got to do all of our graphics. I got to do all the planning, all the admin, everything. So I hope you guys understand where I'm coming from. But hey, maybe if I get my work done early this week on Thursday night, we can pop through a bunch like we did last week. But I appreciate y'all. Next up on the schedule, Joey T and NK1. You guys will be on the next stream for us. So keep that in mind. But we appreciate you. Do me a favor, hit that like button on today's video. And Scribbles, I didn't get to your super chat until now. Hopefully Scribbles is still in the chat. At Scribbles, is he still here? I feel bad. If Scribbles is in the chat, let's answer this question for him before we log off. He says, in a 12-team, 1 quarterback, half PPR, would you trade Trevor Lawrence, Jerome Ford, and the 202 for Jordan Love, 25, 5th, and Pickens? Would you trade Trevor Lawrence, Ford, and the 202 for Love, a 4th, and Pickens? Man, that 4th really means nothing. And I know I'm seeing a lot of people say they're replying to certain content creators and telling people, well, Puka Nacua was a 4th round pick. Tank Dell was a 3rd, right? It's just so rare that these are outliers. Just don't rely on that every year, right? Don't start to overvalue 3rd round picks because it happened this year, or 4th round picks. So that 4th is really not going to move the needle all that much for me, especially in a 1 quarterback format. So really, I'm thinking Jordan Love and Pickens, or Trevor Lawrence and the 202. And I have more questions. How many starters is your league, right? How many running backs can you start? How many wide receivers can you start? What does your current running back and wide receiver room look like? So I'm a little bit indifferent. What I would say is I think the 202 is a little bit rich in this trade. You know, in a super flex, if you really are heavily Love over Lawrence, which most people are, I get it. But in a 1 quarterback, I feel like you might be giving up a little bit too much. Just my opinion. Doesn't mean it's right or wrong. But can you counter, like make that a mid to late 2nd or a couple 3rds instead? I like that structure a little bit better. Noah says, so if I sign up right now, can you review my team right now? I can't right now, my friend. But if you sign up and you skip that free trial, you will be right up there. I mean, I can promise you we'll definitely look at it this week. But I couldn't say 100% today. I'm about to end the stream. Like I said, my partner isn't with us today. He just had a baby. So I'm doing all the graphics this week, planning everything out all on my own. So this is all the time I had today for streaming. But I can absolutely promise you that we will look at it this week, no doubt. But like I said, got to be a Mother Flocker member using the promo code LAND. I'll put a direct link there in the chat. Feel free to DM me if you have any questions about that over on the Discord. But that's it for today, guys. Appreciate you. Enjoy your night, and we'll see you very soon.